As a guitarist first getting into music production, I wanted to make sure that my guitar stood out in a full arrangement. While it was fun hearing my songs all come together, I couldn't help but notice that my guitar wasn't sounding as big and powerful as I wanted it to. I would even go as far as to say it sounded weak. Fortunately, I discovered that the secret had to do with recording the right number of guitar tracks in the right way. And this is critical for you to figure out as a guitarist of any style, but especially as one who plays rock or metal music. In this lesson, I get to show you how a rock song can go from just sounding okay to sounding strong and fierce. When you put together all these nuances and considerations, your guitars are going to carry your song to a much higher level. The first thing you're going to need to do is download my Elite Tones cheat sheet that I've linked in the description of this video. It's completely free and it'll help you dial in killer amp tones. It also teaches you how to make your digital amp simulators sound like authentic physical amplifiers. Plus, it includes links to some of my favorite free amp sims. Again, the link for that is in the description, and you can also find it at zacksharguitar.com. Download it now, then come back and we can put your new and improved guitar tones to use right away by using the right number of guitar tracks. So we're gonna see how to get a big guitar sound by doing as little as possible to get there without cutting any corners. This morning I was feeling like something kind of rock and roll, something a little on the bluesier side. So I'm gonna show you the song idea I have so far. I'm gonna start with one rhythm guitar track and we're gonna see how that works for us. So as you can see, I've got a few things going on so far. I've got my rhythm guitar track right here. We're starting with just one that's gonna play, and I have it panned up the middle, so everything's centered. You hear the sound equally in both the left and the right speakers, but I have it also playing over a bass and drum track. So let's take a listen and see what that sounds like so far. So as it sits right now, I think this sounds okay, but we don't want to just settle for okay. We want our song to rock. We want to give this thing strength and power to make it stand out. So as you'll see, we're going to want to end up shooting for at least 2 guitar tracks. Because if you think about it, a lot of modern bands, especially the rock and metal ones, have 2 guitarists. But even if they don't and they only have 1 guitarist, when they're in the studio, they're not only recording 1 guitar track on their songs, at least in this day and age. So when we're striving to record 2 guitar tracks, there's some important things we're going to need to consider and avoid in order to make this thing sound successful. When we're trying to get our jam out into the real world as quickly as possible, it's natural for us to just want to copy and paste our existing guitar track, since our technology allows us to do just that. But if you do that, you'll quickly see that this ends up not doing anything other than just wasting your time. It's not good to get into the habit of copying and pasting everything you can, because at the end of the whole production process, everything's just going to sound mechanical and robotic. We're humans playing music for other humans, and it's important for us to never forget that. Plus, if you end up copying and pasting that guitar track in an effort to save time, that minute it takes to do that ends up being a waste of a minute. And it'll all be for nothing, and you'll have to go back and start over and do things the correct way. And that's what I'm here to show you right now. And you already may know a thing or two about panning, which is simply adjusting the volume at the left or the right side. So knowing about panning could lead us to believe that we could duplicate our existing guitar track and pan each copy of it in opposite directions. So one would be panned all the way to the left and one would be panned all the way to the right. But if you decide to pan the duplicate tracks this way in opposite directions, it'll still just sound like the single original mono track. So once we've got some tones we like with our first guitar track, it's time to shake things up a bit by adding a second guitar recording. This means recording the same exact thing, but trying to match your performance as closely as you can to the original guitar track. What we want to do is shoot for a second guitar track that sounds similar but not identical to our first one. Each track will act as a team and add some nice stereo width to your overall sound. To make things a little different with my second guitar track, I ended up using a different guitar when I recorded it. And that may be all you need to do. My first guitar track harnessed its power by an active bridge pickup. And my second guitar track relied on a passive neck pickup. I also used a similar but different amp simulator. You could also use a different speaker, cabinet simulator, or impulse response to get the job done. I encourage you to experiment with this and see what you like. Something as simple as a slightly different amp, speaker, or pickup can make the perfect amount of difference you need. Lastly, I pan both guitar tracks in opposite directions. So for my first rhythm guitar part, I'm going to pan that all the way to the left. And for my second rhythm guitar track, I'm just going to do the opposite and pan that all the way to the right. I like to think of this as watching a live band perform where they have two guitarists and each guitarist is at the opposite end of the stage. So here's the before and after of what that sounds like. Now, if you're like me, you may listen to this and start to really want to lay down a guitar solo over it. You can't really do that with only two guitar tracks. So I've added a third lead guitar track to this, and to make it pop, I've added a nice delay effect to it. Unless you're really into layering and you want to add some nice harmonies to your leads, you don't really need to add any other lead guitar tracks to this. And when it comes to panning, we don't want to have the solo sound louder in one ear than the other. So I've got it centered right here, so that way it's right up the middle and it sounds level on both sides. We just want to make sure that this isn't panned in either direction. So here's the before and after of everything we've done from the beginning. So as you can see, it takes at least two guitar tracks to make this thing sound as big as possible. And if you're adding in any kind of face-melting guitar solo, you're definitely going to need a third guitar track on top of that. When recorded and panned correctly, as I've described in this video, your guitars are going to be so much more powerful, and it's going to give your song the sound it deserves. Remember that recording a guitar track of 1 leads to no fun. Guitar tracks of at least 2 make the crowd go woo. Comment below and tell me what your biggest takeaway from this video is. And if you're serious about making your songs sound as awesome as they can, don't forget to download my free Elite Tones cheat sheet if you have not done so already. It'll help you dial in killer amp tones, plus it'll help you make your amp sims sound like authentic physical amplifiers. It also includes links to some of my favorite free amp sims. Again, just click that link in the description of this video or go to zachsharguitar.com and download this awesome free resource. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Zach with Zach Shar Guitar, and I will see you in the next one.